Hello class 7 student, we are here and we are going to start the last video of the current chapter, that is Mughal Empire. To help me, I have an assistant, my son Mr. Tasnim Aris.
Hello, how are you?
With the help of him we are going to continue our discussion. So before going to that, we are going to understand about the Mughal kingdom. Before the British, who ruled over India?
Mughal rule.
Okay, so who was the first Mughal ruler?
Babur.
And then,
Humayun.
and after him?
Jahangir.
No, not Jahangir.
Akbar.
Okay, Akbar was the great person, so he was regarded as Akbar. He was very good. And then after Akbar, Jahangir came.
Jahangir.
And then Shah Jahan, isn't it?
Shah Jahan.
So who was the last ruler? Who was the last ruler? You don't know? Aurangzeb.
Aurangzeb.
So Aurangzeb was what? He was the last?
He was the last powerful.
He was the last powerful ruler of the Mughal Empire. Afterward, Mughal started to disintegrate. And in this way, as the Mughal started to disintegrate, the British got the advantages to rule over India. So after Aurangzeb, the Mughal ruler who came, they were called as a later Mughal ruler. This thing you will learn in class 8 or class 9 or vagara, it is going into. So thank you for your help, Mr. Tasnim Aris. Now let's continue with Aurangzeb. First of all, you see, Babur was very strict. Humayun was also very strict. But who was the best ruler of the Mughal? Very good ruler of the Mughal? Who?
Humayun.
Not Humayun. Who was the best ruler?
Akbar.
Very good. Akbar was aware because he abolished the system of Jizya. He started a new religion, Dini Ilahi, and he have got good relation. He started good relation with the Rajput and other. According to him, all the religions were equal, and he followed the system of religious tolerance. And about religious tolerance, everything is written in every books, holy books of different religious practices. In regards to Quran Sharif, it may be Gita, Bible, whatever, they are written about religious. But this religious tolerance were completely banned by Aurangzeb. And here, Aurangzeb were very becoming arrogant and very strict. And it is because of his nature, Aurangzeb was not liked by the people, by the other native rulers in the kingdom. Aurangzeb was born in 1618, 400 years ago. Okay, but Aurangzeb was the third son of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal. Can you remember Mumtaz Mahal? A romantic story in regards to Taj Mahal. So by Mumtaz Mahal, the word Mahal came. Okay, so here Shah Jahan, for his beloved wife, a monument was built, and it is the seventh wonders of the world, that is Taj Mahal. And Taj Mahal still exists after several hundred years, centuries. So Aurangzeb empire was what? It is biggest. Okay, and it is only Aurangzeb who rule over this biggest empire and ever rule in India. And also Aurangzeb was able to rule over India for how many years? 50 years.
50 years.
How many years?
50 years.
Okay, Aurangzeb was almost always at war with one ruler or another. Why? Because Aurangzeb was very strict and he was always with war with the other ruler and practicing his own religious practice. Okay, he started to become arrogant and people disliked him. Aurangzeb spent the first half that of these 50 years of his tenure, that is 25 years, in the northern territory, and second half trying to annex the Deccan. In this way, he spent his whole administrative time in war, and people disliked him because there were many activities for welfare, doing welfare for the people of the country, but Aurangzeb was doing only war. He was only busy in annexing the other territories, expanding the territory. So during his tenure as emperor, the various policy of Aurangzeb proved to be his undoing. Whatever he adopted the policy, it was not liked by his people. So what were the policies? Let us look about this policy. What are the policies of Aurangzeb? So here in Aurangzeb's, so as after the end of the Shah Jahan, the rule of Aurangzeb, what we knew, what we have understood here, religious policy. Among the policy of Aurangzeb, which was not liked by the people, was religious policy. So Aurangzeb family believed that it was his duty to strengthen Islam in the empire. So always remember, no religion is stronger than any other religion. This is the concept of various books, and here it is because of this the concept of religious tolerance are mentioned in various holy books of different religions. But according to him, Islam was great, and it is duty to strengthen Islam in the empire. So he discontinued various policy which was enjoyed by the non-Muslim people, specifically the Hindu people. When they go for the pilgrimage, that is Tirath, okay, so they had to pay taxes, jizya. It was during the time when Babur came and Humayun came, who imposed jizya tax. But when Akbar came, jizya was abolished. But again, Aurangzeb reintroduced the jizya tax, and it is because of this the people, non-Muslim people, were not liking Aurangzeb. He reimposed the jizya, the religious tax on non-Muslim, that Akbar had abolished. So his policy led to many uprising. It is because of policy many people revolted against Aurangzeb, and Aurangzeb spent his tenure, spent his administration for suppressing this revolt. Okay, so who were revolting against Aurangzeb? The Marathas, the Jats, the Satnamis, and Rajput. Rajput was one of the strongest native kingdom during the Mughal rule, and also taking a good relation, Akbar married Jodha for making a cordial relation with Rajput, and in this way, till Akbar's rule, the kingdom had a good relation with the Mughal empire, that is the central empire. But Aurangzeb destroyed everything because of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was not liked by the people. So, and again Rajput came. The Rajput policy was that he tried to maintain good relation with them as Akbar tried. As I have already just now I have mentioned a couple of minutes earlier. Here Aurangzeb, as Rajputs were enjoying their own privilege under the shadow of the Mughal as an independent kingdom, but Aurangzeb tried to annex their kingdom and waged several battles against them, and Aurangzeb was fighting with Rajput also. Again, Deccan policy was there. Aurangzeb almost spent 26 years of his life in the reign of Deccan. So here, which he could neither control nor ignore. He was not able to control the Deccan kingdom, Deccan places. So this brought him into direct confrontation with the rising power of the Marathas. So Marathas were also fighting against Aurangzeb. So Aurangzeb had to has to administer, has to rule over the kingdom by fighting against the native rulers. First under Shaji and later under his son Shivaji, the Marathas grew in numbers and strength. So Aurangzeb repeatedly tried to put an end to them, but in vain. Aurangzeb was not able to put an end. The end was put by the British after fighting. Okay, it was during the revolt of 1815 considerably during this time, which is about 100 years after, 90 to 100 years after. Whatever it is, to some extent Aurangzeb was successful and the victories came to a steep cost. Aurangzeb suffered heavy loss of soldiers and money. In this way, now Aurangzeb didn't have money to administer the country. So you see, to do a welfare, the government need money, fund. So this fund of the public money was destroyed in the war by Aurangzeb. So in this way, many conflicts were also fought against Aurangzeb, and also Aurangzeb was not living, Assam was not left untouched by Aurangzeb also, but still Aurangzeb had to face a defeat by the indeed then Ahom kingdom. Okay, so in this way, how can we understand now about the character of Aurangzeb? That is that Aurangzeb followed the strict traditions as prescribed to the Muslims. What were the strict tradition? He did not indulge in any food, drink or dress that was prohibited in the Quran. What kind of food was prohibited in the Quran? It is says that in the Quran, that kind of food which is harmful to human being, harmful to man, are prohibited, and that should not be consumed. And in Quran Sharif, it is pronounced as haram. So no need to. Certain like consumptions of pork, liquor, drinking, or ganja, bhang, whatever, these things are mentioned. So he used to say, yes, this is good, not to harm the health. But also, he used to practice his rituals very strictly, and fasting were strictly followed. This is also good. But Aurangzeb was very suspicious in nature. He suspect everything every time. He was cunning and cold in temperament. His ability as a general declined in later years. And here, Aurangzeb forget whatever he was following through the Quran Sharif, that not consuming which are prohibited, strictly following offering namaz or practicing his practice and fasting, and strictly follow these things. But also in that the same side of the Quran Sharif, one thing more is written regarding religious tolerance. No any religion is above any other religion. All the religions are equal. No, it is not needed for humiliating any kind of. So here, no other religion is at the top. So all religions are equal. This thing is religious tolerance. Even Prophet Muhammad in Islamism has said that no need to humiliate in any other religions. And whenever it is possible, respect other religion. Then you will get respect from other religion into your own religion. So this thing is religious tolerance, and it is always been taught in various part of the history book. Whether you are in class 9, you see, I have to interrupt the video. It is because of certain ghostly appearance is coming out. So I have to pause the video and again start over it. So whatever, concluding to the video, Aurangzeb was the last great Mughal, and he was stronger enough. He had the capacity to rule over the kingdom. It is because of his ignorance, he was fighting for his own power. He lost the vigor of his administration and his capacity of ruling over the country. And in this regard, in 1707, after his death, his successor, who came as a Mughal emperor, was unable to rule over the kingdom, as already there were many disturbances that have been created by Aurangzeb, and his successor, his descendants, had to face great problem in overruling the kingdom. And by then the kingdom was shattered completely. And to do this, one of the consequences was because of the advent of the British to India, and the British to an extent were taking the advantages of the disunity of the native kingdom and the legal sanction to the Mughal emperor, being loyal to the Mughal emperor. And the British started to apply the policy of divide and rule policy. So in this way, the later part, if you go to class 8, you will understand. As a consequence, the British were able to take over the whole kingdom, whole empire to their own annexation. And after the revolt of 1857, before the revolt of 1857, what that is, Sirajud-Daulah defeated 1757. Okay, Sirajud-Daulah was the last Mughal ruler who of Nawab of Bengal, and in those time Shah Alam II signed with the British to give the Bengal. So in this way, these things in detail you will learn in the next class, in the next year of your class, not now. So when the British completely took over India, together they are classified as the later Mughal. That means when the British get, they are known as the Mughals were there in those times, but they lost the vigor, they lost the actual power to rule over the kingdom, and thereby the British became the actual ruler, actual power in the country. Now it cannot be said as kingdom, it is said as British India. So here it is the substances that I have already mentioned in this video, and I hope so you will understand. And also